Hi folks, this is Colin at the Dog Line. Thanks for joining us on our video series about the pet barrier. Let's have a look at laying the wire around the property and what designs we can do to create dog-proof fences and also detailed garden bed designs to keep your dog off the garden beds. The wire we use has a high density polyethylene coating. Now we've chosen this covering because it has a good UV rating and it can also be buried underground. So when you run the wire around the property, you can simply attach it to your fence, bury it under any driveways or gateways and lay it on top of the garden beds to create dog-free garden beds. We can even lay the wire across an open field and using the boundary flags to show the dog where the radio signal is and the programmable levels in the collar, we can train the dog not to go across the line. This creates your own invisible fence. In one of the videos in the index below, we talked about how to create the radio signal. So what we can look at now is how we can run the wires to neutralize the radio signal in certain areas so we can create different designs around your house and even have your dog walk in between garden beds. So when the transmitter starts inside your shed out of the weather and under cover, you'll attach the wire and run that from the garage or the shed to the fence. Now the radio signal in the wire will then travel around the property in a circular fashion, and when it comes back to where you started, you run the wire back to the transmitter. So the radio signal is heading north to get to the fence, then it's heading south to get back. So north and south touching actually neutralizes the radio signal and the dog can walk across these two wires. So once we run the wire from the shed to the fence, we carry on around the property, bury the wire under any gates or driveways, and we can even create internal garden bed protection zones by running the wire to the internal garden bed and travelling back to the fence and then carry on around the property. There's a couple of variations on this. You can actually pinch the wire in at the sides of the house to keep the dog in the back garden, or you can take him to the front garden with you so he'll be safe there. Or you can duck across the front of the property and stop him running through the front door and return to the transmitter that way. One of my favourite little designs is called the double loop. So if we start inside the shed and run the wires to the fence, we can run one wire along the bottom of the fence and around the garden. When we get to the other side of the house, we can take the wire to the top of the fence and return to the transmitter along the top. One thing that our transmitter is very good at doing, and also our FM radio frequency, is doing small radio signal depth. You can have a very small radio signal of say 30 centimetres or half a metre at the bottom of the fence, and you can also have a half a metre radio signal at the top of the fence. So you stop dogs that want to dig under, and you also stop dogs that want to jump over the fence. Now this also keeps the dog off the garden bed. It's particularly useful if you have a small property and you don't want to cut down the dog's play area too much. Okay, what I'll do now is show you how we can actually manipulate the depth of the radio signal using two wires for intricate garden bed designs. If we have one wire running along the garden bed this way, and then the radio signal travels along the other wire back in this direction here. If we separate these wires a half a metre apart, it will only allow projection of the radio signal a half a metre on either side of those two wires. So we can adjust the depth of the radio signal by adjusting at the transmitter and manipulate the signal by moving these wires closer together. We can also then create a radio signal around a garden bed here, run the wire to the next garden bed and create another radio signal. And then when we take the wire back, the radio signal is travelling in the opposite direction and there's no signal here. So the dog can walk in and around the garden beds without being affected by the radio signal. What allows us to do that is the coded digital FM radio frequency and the transmitter we're using. Well, that was a little bit on laying out the wire around your property and creating some intricate garden bed designs. If you'd like a free quote, then click on the link below and we'll send you a free personalised quote. Or you can simply call us on our 7-day helpline, 1300 the dog. That's 1300 843 364. If you'd like to, you can fax through a diagram of your property and we will help you design a layout to suit. So, here's to well-behaved dogs in every neighbourhood. See you next time.